Hey everybody, it's me Lisa here for another episode of In Vino Veritas. Tonight what we are going to sample is a Sauvignon Blanc with a very mysterious label. This is actually called Crest. You can kind of barely make out the words on the label. It's very difficult to read, but trust me, that's what it's called. It's called Crest. It's a Sauvignon Blanc from 2016, and this is a California bottle. So this retails for about $15. So this is right in the middle of that price range that I usually like to hit. So, got our wine. Let's see what we think. It's got a tropical smell. It really smells like papaya. I smell that more than anything. Ooh, there's also a very strong citrus flavor. I think this is lime. Yeah, it's lime. And so, yeah, there's a papaya lime, so it gives it kind of a tropical flavor. This is one with a bit of a kick. I think the bite or the tartness of the lime really gives this one a kick that I'm not sure I'm super excited about. It almost comes off as like peppery. And I tend to prefer my reds to be peppery and my whites to be a little more, light and easy to drink. I wouldn't really say this is a complex wine. It's basically, it feels like I'm drinking lime juice. But we will see. So this is something that I would totally do with like fish tacos or any kind of like the street tacos, like carnitas or something like that, or a fish, like a good fish like halibut or swordfish or something like that. Red meat is probably too much for this, but something that can kind of hold its own and balance out those flavors, I think would work well with this one. If I can get over that lime. So there you go. That's that one. I will get into this a little more and see if it opens up and mellows out. I sure hope so, because otherwise I'm going to be all puckered up later. So anyway, I'm going to drink some more of this and then come back and tell y'all a story. Okay, so I'm back. I've gotten into this some more, and this wine is very limey. It does mellow out a little bit after a while, but unless you're a fan of gimlets or some other lime-heavy beverage, this one might be one to pass on, or to have with food, because I'm not. So anyway. So today I'm going to tell you a story about how I suck at flirting. And I used to be good at it, okay? I used to be able to go out and go, ah, ha, 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 and, put my hand on a guy's arm and, swoon or whatever, and we'd be off to the races. Those days are over. And I don't know if it's just because I'm older, or if it's because I'm out of practice, or if because the world has changed and I haven't. But either way, so here's the story: is that I was at an event where it was the event, and then they had a reception afterwards, and I went by myself, and I had never been to this type of event before. This is kind of a new thing for me. And they had, you know, a bar, which of course I made a beeline for. And then they had a table of, you know, little munchies, you know, like meat and cheese and crackers and fruit and, you know, crudité and charcuterie, so to speak. So I'm realizing, like, oh, there's people here. I don't know a single person here. Big surprise. And so after I get my wine, I decide to do what a normal person would do, and I get in line for food. And I'm standing there in line, and a guy gets in line behind me, and he's a ginger and wearing kind of a hip sweater, and I think, okay, maybe this is someone I want to meet. And he starts talking to me, and I start talking back, and we have something in common. He's a writer, I'm a writer, except that he's very successful, and I'm not. And I get really excited for some reason, and I start vomiting words, and in my head, I can hear myself talking, and I just think, Lisa, shut up. Stop talking altogether. But of course I don't. And then I get to the end of the sentence, and he does this thing where he just kind of goes, and then he says, I'm going to go over there. And he gets out of the line for food to get away from me. And to me, that is like the ultimate hint that someone is desperately trying to get away from you. So I admit defeat, and I continue on in the line, and I grab my food, and I find a cocktail table in the corner, and I proceed to take my food there and eat it with my back facing to the room, because I have already been humiliated once. And so I am going to finish this plate of food and then leave. And I'm going to try to do everything I can to make sure that no one talks to me, hence my back to the room. So this dude comes and decides to stand there and talk to me. He puts his little food down, and I'm like hunched over mine like a hungry pit bull. So, you know, the balls on this guy to come and talk to me in the first place, yeah, sizable. So he and I start chit-chatting. He's not my type. It's fine. But we're laughing, and before I know it, we've got inside jokes about things like, oh, well, when you tell people what you do for a living, you should wink, just so we all know we're on the joke. Like, I'm a writer, you know, and we think that's hilarious because, you know, why not? Anyway, so we start talking and blah, 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 and then a friend of his comes up and he says, oh, let me introduce you to Josh. And I turn around, and Josh is a tallish, skinny nerd, sort of hipster, and wearing plaid flannel and glasses, and he is, for lack of a better word, adorkable. And so I start talking to this dude as the first guy, Vinny, goes off to, you know, talk to other people. And so I'm talking to this Josh guy, and for some reason in my head, I just assume that he knows all the inside jokes with Vinny that I do, because I'm guessing that those are kind of standard repertoire, right? But they're not. And so I'm flirting and making these jokes, and I'm kind of going for broke because I don't give a shit at this point. And I've already failed once, and I'm about to leave. So I'm kind of in that that mode of no holds barred. And so, of course, he says, so what do you do? And I say, I'm a writer. And he laughs and he goes, and I say, what do you do? And he says, I'm a writer. And he winks back. So I'm like, okay, yeah, he gets the joke. This is a thing. And so we keep going, and I keep just saying whatever random shit comes into my brain. And about 10 minutes later, he says, you know, I've been standing here talking to you, and I don't know anything about you. And it's that point that I realize that I have gone too far. And it's also at that point that another person who is at this event butts in and says, "Hey, I'm Mark," and he just starts talking about nothing, basically. And then says something like, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker. Maybe I should write a novel too," which makes no sense, but that's a whole other story for another time. So we very patiently listened to Mark tell us whatever is on his mind. And I guess now the tables have turned and I would like to go somewhere else. And so Josh turns to me and he says, "Where did Vinny go?" And I say, "I don't know. We should find him." And I say, "It was nice meeting you, Mark." And we walk away about 4 feet because this room is not that big where this reception is being held. And he says, "Well, where is Vinny?" And I say, "Oh, he's right over there." And then we proceed to talk for a little while more. And then he says, "Well, do you have a card?" And I said, "Why, yes, I do." And I actually have 2 cards. I have my legit business card for my actual job, and then I have another business card for me being a writer. So that's like my personal, like, whatever. And so I give him the choice as to which one he wants to take, which is actually very telling, which one they want to take. And he takes the personal card. So I'm like, all right, he doesn't want to email me at work or call me at work. So I'm good with that because he's kind of cute, because this whole time I've been assessing, like, would I ever go home with this dude? Would I make out in a back alley with this dude? And the answer to both of those questions was yes. So he takes my card, and I say, "Okay, well, it was nice meeting you, and I'm gonna go now." And he says, "Yeah, it was nice meeting you too. I need to meet 2 more people before I leave tonight." And then I realize that while I thought we were flirting and having like a little meet cute, he was networking. And so, yeah, this is kind of a good example of why I suck at all of this stuff. But, and to date, that was like 3 weeks ago, and he never did call or email. So, yeah, he was just networking or humoring me, or both. And so, anyway, that's my story for the night. Drink happy and drink often, and we'll see you next time.